Hello, everyone, and welcome to January the 20th regular Legislative Committee meeting of the Town of Vegreville. I call this meeting to order at 3:01. I'll be looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Lemko makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. And I'll just let everybody know that Councillor Rudick is not joining us today. I'll be looking for a motion to adopt the minutes of our last regular legislative meeting. Councillor Rawa makes the motion. Is there any errors or omissions in those meetings? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, so we're going to start off with, just so everybody knows, we will be having a closed session, somebody coming in regarding either land, legal, or law. Just before 4 o'clock, so we will be taking a short break from our live broadcast, and we will be resuming after that. So we're going to start quarterly progress report with Manager Temptation, Municipal Services Manager. Take it away, Manager Temptation.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and Council. We're going to start off with my first capital project, which is the lawn tractor for the landfill. Basically, at this time, what I did is I resent the quotes out because I just had the one quote for it. So now I went to three places to get quotes from all the places in town to get a new price on it. Because the quote that I did have was only good for 90 days, so it was expired already anyway by the time we got approved and stuff like that.
We probably don't need it tomorrow anyway.
No, we got time. So, yeah. The next capital project is the landfill crawler. They're replacing the tracks and the final drives on that. And that also is, I went and I rebid all that, getting re-quotes, revisited quotes for all that too, because I've got some, not just the one place to give me a quote, I got other places giving me quotes too. So I got 3 places to look at once I get the quotes in, instead of only having the one price from the one place. So I'm hoping it might come in a little less than that, than what it's budgeted for, but we'll wait and see once I get all the quotes in. And with that, that is taking the final drives out of it too, and replacing the final drives in it. That's why it's so expensive to do it with the tracks. But now that the tracks are worn and the rollers are all worn, we got to rip it all apart anyway, so now's the time to pull the final drives out of it at the same time, so.
Anybody have any questions about how we do how we get quotes and who we put them out to and what thresholds we try to find more than one quote? So, Manager Temptation, do you want to just give us a quick overview of how you look at the tendering of this work, or if it's over a certain price is when you offer it to 2 or 3 different companies, or what is your
Actually, I get more than one price all the time, even for the smaller stuff, just to make sure that we're in the ballpark. What I do is if it can be surplus and bought in town, and they're, say, 10-15% over what I could get it out of the city or someplace, I would just purchase it in town to buy it here instead of buying it in the city. I try to get mostly everything in town that I can, but the stuff that I can't get in town, I just have to go to the city to get it. So, and as with this piece of equipment, there's nobody in town that would do tracks and final drives, so I'm looking at, there's Brandt is the main one because it's a John Deere, so they're the main equipment operator on it, and then there's 2 other ones, I can't remember the name of them right now, that I sent quotes to get quotes from, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I have for my capital items. Now we'll just go into my services operational update. So on the fleet side, we're busy repairing our snow equipment, and that is from blowers to the trucks to loaders to graders to you name it. It's been pretty hectic year this year with breakdowns we've been getting, and I don't know if it's because we were in the extreme when it did it, or why, or just because the roads got so rough, and when we're cutting them, it's hammering them out a little bit, right? Because they're frozen so solid this year that it's really hard on the equipment trying to cut it down. So maybe that has a lot to do with it, but we are seeing like blowing a lot of rams out, blowing a lot of hydraulic lines out and stuff like that. But the good thing about it, we have 2 graders, so if one goes down, we still can keep going. And we have 2 blowers, so if a blower goes down, we can still keep going. It doesn't shut us down, which is a saving grace this year for sure. So, next is the finished Unit 112, which is the hydrovac conversion. So as you remember, we took off all the sewer flushing components off that and just made it into a hydrovac. And then once we got it all done, we found out that the cyclones on the back of the truck were all rusted through, and they were getting holes, so we weren't getting the proper amount of vacuum coming out of the truck when we're doing our hydrovacing. So we replaced all those cyclones and got them all rebuilt, and we put them on now, and we got it all up and running, so it's all good to go now. So
And where'd you get them rebuilt?
we got the cyclones rebuilt at Camrose Machine because they were about $4,000 cheaper than sourcing them right from Joe Johnson from the company to begin with. So we got them rebuilt in Camrose. So. Next is repair snow brushes on mowers and UTVs. So again, with the brushes, we had one that got damaged pretty good. It bent the whole shaft, and then it actually twisted the frame on it. So we ended up having to replace that whole broom because it just wasn't too bad. And when we took it apart and had a look at it, all the main frame was getting rusted in the bottom already. So there was no sense trying to repair it with it being twisted the way it was and everything. So that should be actually here within the next, I'm hoping next week it should show up, the new broom for that mower. And the other Polaris Brutus that was down with that broom, that one got up and running yesterday. And that was the gearbox on the broom drive went out on it. So we have to get a gearbox in for it. But that is up and gone now. And then we're just replacing all the brushes on the parks mowers and stuff for cleaning sidewalks and stuff like that. So
all of our equipment that carries a brush is up and running again?
other than the one that we're waiting for the broom to show up on. Yeah. Repair Unit 138, that's the new bylaw truck that was on the Shalane drives, and we were having issues with that thing was draining the batteries overnight. Like, she would shut everything off and go in and come in the morning and it'd be cold, just dead. So we had it in the shop for probably 4 days, trying to get it to react, to do the same thing. And finally, we found out that the driver's door lock wasn't closing all the time properly. So the body control module was thinking there was still somebody going in and out of the truck and leaving everything powered up. And so when that happened, it ended up draining the batteries right down to nothing. So we replaced that, and then at the same time, we found that the back camera on the truck was staying on all the time. So we rewired that to get it so that was shut off with the ignition and not be on straight power the way it was wired up to begin with. So, and she's been using it now for a week or so, and she hasn't had a problem, so I'm pretty confident we got it corrected. But it did take a while to figure out what was giving us the issues with it, for sure. And then the next one is working on the main sewer lift engine problem. So at the main sewer lift, we had that diesel engine kind of run away on us a little bit. They started it up to test it, and then when they went to shut it down, it would not shut down. So we ended up having to close off the air cleaner, shut all the fuel off, plug the exhaust, anything we could do to get it to stall. So we did that, and finally it stalled. So now I'm in the process of getting, and because we had to do that, I'm thinking we pulled some seals someplace in it. So I'm not sure exactly how much got damaged by having to shut it down the way we did. But because I know when you're blocking off air and stuff like that, it pulls the seals, it pulls everything else in on the engine. So I'm getting somebody to come and have a look so we can get a detail on exactly what we need to repair it. And we think the reason it ran away is the only thing that we can see is that we think the pump in the injection pump, that seal went, and so it was sucking engine oil and just burning the engine oil. That's why it wouldn't shut down, because they will run on their own engine oil. It doesn't matter. As long as they're getting something to burn, they'll keep going through it.
So with something like that, Manager Tintition, is there a process that we go through that we can shut the motor down? I mean, if we unhook the battery, like, is there a quicker fix to make it shut down? Other than trying to starve it of fuel, air, and exhaust plug?
And not when it's running internally like that, because it's burning it's getting the fuel from inside the engine itself. So as long as the engine is turning, it will keep running. Because of it being a diesel engine and running on compression, it doesn't matter what fuel is getting into the cylinder, it's still gonna burn it. So at this point, we tried everything and nothing would shut it down, so we ended up having to starve it to get it to shut down, so.
Okay, so I just brought that up, so if somebody's like, why wouldn't they just unhook the battery?
Great.
Okay.
Okay. Next is recycling. So we sent our year-end reports to Circular Materials, Product Care, and Call to Recycle. And Circular Materials is all the recycling, cardboard, and all that kind of stuff. Product Care is the HSP one, so that's where our hazardous materials go. And Call to Recycle, that's where all our batteries go. So we sent all our year-end reports to that. And we hired a new part-time staff at the VMRF, John Boneo, and he's just working part-time at the VMRF now. So as of present, we are full of staff at the VMRF, so. And then Circular Materials put out an RFP on the APC, request for proposal, on the Alberta Purchasing Connection for residential curbside pickup in town. Because as of October of 2026, they are taking it away from us doing residential in the town. What they wanted us to do is haul it all the way to the city with our trucks. And I says, that's not even feasible to haul a little load like that and take it all the way into the city. So then they said, well, and me and Director Lefebvre talked, and we said, well, let's see what they want to come up with. And they did actually put out an RFP to get proposals to somebody to pick up the residential recycling in town. At this point, I was trying to figure out how much residential and how much is commercial. And with what we went through, about 65% of our cardboard and everything comes from the commercial side, not the residential side. So it's about 35% is about the number that we'd be taken out of our residential side, sorry. But there's not really much else. That's kind of the mind up they made and what they want to do. And me and Director Lefebvre talked to them, but it really didn't go very far. So.
I'd like to expand a little bit.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so in our conversation with Circular Materials, what Manager Tim Titian was saying is they didn't just want us to haul it to the city for them. The point is they want us to haul it loose, which when we compact loads, we compact truckloads into 1,500-pound bales, and bales that are manageable that you can fill a highway trailer full and haul them into the city in quantity. They want to process this product that they pick up in the province, in this whole region, into one place that's going to do the baling for them. So they're not interested in the town because we have the capability to bale, and they could pay us for that service and then haul them out compacted. We were told that that's not an option for Circular Materials. It's about the money, and when they get someone large enough to do a large volume of compacting and making bales, it's cheaper for them to drive it, apparently, they say, from here loose to the city. So you could imagine us with our 5-ton garbage trucks running back for the city with loose. I mean, there's no way, it's just not going to happen. I know that the RFP was for this fall, and that there was, our local supplier was involved in it too. We had conversations, Keith and I, and this RFP is not just for them to pick up the recycling, but it's also to supply rollouts. This will turn into a curbside recycling program for every house, not just the ones that don't have rear lanes. And they will pick up just the household cardboard and paper products as a company. They will contract that out. Circular Materials will, and then they will take that and haul it loose to the city, weigh, process. And that's what the program was supposed to do, is to take the onus of recycling off of the municipality and the ratepayers of our community. When the people that are selling the product sell it to you, and when you open your package and throw your cardboard in the bin, now it's become the town's problem, when it should really be the supplier's problem, because he brought the product to us. So that part's working, but we may see some changes in how we do recycling down the road. Are they going to be ready to go for sure in September? We don't know. They've extended deadlines before. I know the RFP closed January 2nd, and I've talked to the local contractor, see if he's heard anything, and the answer at this point is no, and we're at the 20th. So I'll keep reaching out and see, but we will keep council informed. So it's gonna be a big change in the way that we do things, and it will come, in time, it will come.
So what about recyclable plastics, tin cans?
Right now, the program is at residential paper products and the household special projects, which is more of the household hazardous stuff, spray bombs and things, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So every household in Vegreville will be getting a roll-out bin.
That's the plan if it rolls through, yes.
So I have a blue bin now that I put all my recyclables in.
Yep.
So I'm going to have 2 bins?
Well, that's some of the negotiating we'll have to do again with Circular, which we've negotiated an awful lot with them, is to see how they're gonna do there. Right now, we're on the program and our lead hand, Phyllis, Sarita, and Tony have come up with the way that we bring the product in, percentage, what is the percentage for residential, then we floor dump it, floor sort it, take the contaminants that are not just pure paper products, put them in another bin, weigh that, subtract from this one, and give them the weight. So it's very time consuming how we're doing it, but it's a way to do it. So we'll see how they're going to manage it, because remember, at this point, when they take it over by contract, that becomes their problem.
Okay, well, you'll keep us updated. I mean, hopefully we won't be rolling out bins more than 5 days a week.
Hopefully not.
Today's
Well, especially-
plastic, tomorrow's paper, tomorrow's cardboard.
Yeah.
This is Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, and then I got my green bin too, and I gotta get that out. But it'll just be something different for residents that are used to the back alley bin, that they'll have a rollout too. But it's only for paper and cardboard products.
Off the start. They're planning on expanding their program.
Okay, well. Any other questions regarding that? Okay, well, we look forward to see how this rolls out.
I'm
Yes.
sure it'll be smoothless.
Okay, we'll move on to the landfill. So I got the hydrovac pit all cleaned out just before it froze. Actually, it was a little froze so he could get into there, into the mud and dig it out for us. So we're good on that. So our hydrovacs can keep dumping. We're working on cells 8 and 9. So what we did now is we put some more cardboard down over top of the soft spots, and we're packing it in so that in the summertime we'll be able to get out and use those cells if we feel the need. We're still gonna finish off cell 7 because we can bring that one out a little bit, but because it's winter, we wanna get this base so that we can use it during the summer if we have to, because otherwise we just end up getting stuck and sinking things in there, and that's not good. So. Then I also called K&K Recycling to get our metal cell emptied, because right now we got enough tonnage in there because I gotta have over 100 metric tons is what our contract says before they don't charge us to come out. If it's underneath that, then they charge us. So I make sure that we have enough to cover the 100 metric tons when they come out and pick it up, so. And then on to garbage. I got 5 bins picked out to get the floors replaced. I just talked to the person that's doing it this morning, and next week I'll be taking them and delivering it to his place to get the floors replaced in and see how it works out, so. And then the last one is the amount of snow in alleys affecting waste pickup. And so what we've been having is because our dumpsters sit there all the time, as it snows, the alley builds up and the dumpsters stay down, and then the dumpster gets so low that the carriage on the truck can't get down far enough to pick the dumpsters up. So we have been struggling with that a little bit. That's why some residents have been phoning saying, how come my dumpster hasn't been emptied? And I just think, well, it will be, because I'm getting the loader to go there, but I gotta dig it out in order to get the truck so I can lift it up, because I just can't lift it the way it is, so. And that's about all I have for my services operation at this time.
Any questions for Manager Tintition? Do we still put our compacting machine in a storage facility at nights?
I do if I go out there. The person that isn't very confident in doing it because he did hit the post once, so he doesn't do it all the time, but I do go out there and I will put it in the evening and then he can drive it out in the morning, so. But if I don't get out there to do it, then no, it stays outside.
Okay, okay, well. Yeah, it just, we built that for that
Yes,
thing to go into, and I've seen it not go in there. That's-
Yeah, no, I understand, so.
Okay, and so when K and K comes out to get their over 100 metric tons, we actually realize some profits from that as well.
Correct, yes. They pay us whatever, we got, what contract, it's a big formula they use to figure it out and what we get, but it goes off what the index of the metal was worth at the time and all that kind of stuff. But they do kind of guarantee us a price if it gets too low, so we're always guaranteed a little bit above that if it happens to drop way out. At present, metal is doing not bad, so I don't think that'll be an issue, but if it ever dropped out, we're kind of guaranteed a certain price, but we don't really get, if it goes higher, we don't get the higher price, we just get sort of.
And we don't separate any type of different metals apart. They just come and take it all and they'll separate it on their own.
Correct, yes, they take everything that's in the pile and they just take it and they take it and they bale it, they do everything with it, so.
Okay.
And just for reference, it was, the revenue off metal sales from K&K was just over $20,000 last year.
Okay. Okay, well, there's no other questions. Thank you very much for your report.
Thank you.
And keep us up to date on the rollouts. Okay, next up, our Community Engagement and Economic Development Manager, Brown. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. This memorandum to council is in regards to the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board VTAB bylaw. It's being proposed by our tourism coordinator, which of course falls under the Seed Department, Michelle Gladys. The background on this is that the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board, otherwise known as VTAB, has recently reviewed bylaw 032025. This bylaw was established by Town Council in accordance with Section 145 of the Municipal Government Act to establish the structure, roles, and responsibilities of VTAB. The VTAB has reached its full complement in accordance with the provisions of the bylaw. An additional community member has since expressed interest in appointment to the board. At its most recent meeting, the VTAB considered this matter and determined that it did not wish to discourage community interest nor participation. Accordingly, the board resolved to pursue an amendment to the bylaw to provide for a potential appointment of additional members. On behalf of the board, administration is proposing the following amendments. Section 4.3A, referring to the appointment of members at large, board members, be revised from 7 up to 10 members. If these amendments are accepted by council, draft XX 2026 Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board bylaw will be presented to council for all three readings, and bylaw 032025 will be repealed. Should this forge ahead, the communication strategy would be public engagement process level 1, wherein tourism coordinator Michelle Gladys will inform the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board when the new bylaw is approved. Additionally, an updated copy of the VTAB bylaw will be available on the Town of Vegreville website. So the options in front of council today include that A, council approve the proposed amendments and move forward with all three readings at the next regular council meeting, or B, the town council opt to discuss the proposed amendments further at the next legislative committee meeting prior to moving forward with all three readings, or finally C, that town council reject the proposed amendments and retain bylaw 032025. And with that, Your Worship, I'll leave it to council for discussion.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, who's currently on the tourism board? Okay, we'll start with Councillor Ruava.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I definitely think this is important. The aforementioned resident who came to our meeting, he was awesome to have on the board for that meeting. He brought a lot of great feedback and was really interested in what all of the VEG Tourism Board does. And I definitely think that we should expand our board up to 10 because I think it's very important to have him on the board. It's like I said, he mentioned or brought up a lot of good feedback, and he was really engaged. And I know in the past we've said about always wanting volunteers. Well, I feel like you'd be wrong to reject somebody who did come and did show very high interest in this board.
Okay, Councillor Jagalik.
Thank you. Yes, I have to mimic Councillor Warawa. Right now, the board has invaluable members from different facets of our community. Of course, economic development, town council, Mundare Council, Go East of Edmonton, but as well as the Youth Rotary Club as well. So some great conversations had by people who bring different expertise. But of course, I have to agree. I think that the additional community members that have stepped forward and put their name shouldn't be turned away because of a bylaw putting a cap on the number of members. So this was a unanimous decision from all of us to amend the bylaw. So I'm happy to see it here today.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead, Councillor Lemko.
Yep. As a former member of the Tourism Board, I think it's important that we encourage our community to be involved in the Tourism Board. It's the only challenge would be that if there's 10 spots and 8 are filled and a member of the community that comes forward that may not be a good fit for the Tourism Board, then the board would decide and still leaving 2 empty spots. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes we might ask for too much. But I'm in favor.
Okay. Again, I've never been on this board. I don't know how it functions. I mean, like, if it's, I've seen other boards get carried away where there is just keep adding members and nothing's getting done and they can't seem to. I think the board should always have an odd number on it, no matter what. Because if you'd like to have a vote, an odd number works so much better than an even number, because then when you have a tie, it's never good. But I'm not opposed to the going up to 10. Again, I've never seen the board function, and I just know that as boards have grown over time, when we first started with our first economic development committee that we had in town, and pretty soon the lunch bills were they just got so big and they got out of hand. And but I'm not against anybody that in our community that wants to get on a board. My recommendation, not to hold this up, would be that make it an odd number and not an even number, but that's all I have to say. So you guys can talk it over, see what you want to come up, but if everybody feels comfortable with voting on this, we'll bring it to Monday's meeting for sure. Go ahead, Councillor Jagalik first, and then Councillor
Thank you. Yes, to both of your points, I'll just comment on that there was thoughtful discussion had about a healthy and appropriate number of members. There are a couple just community members on the board as well right now, so there really wasn't a lot of opportunity for obviously even one more member to join us, and we just felt that each of them represent a different demographic, and so we felt that to be important. And we did all agree that 10 felt like an appropriate number without allowing too many cooks in the kitchen, and also keeping in mind that oftentimes there's usually members that are missing from meetings. So as far as voting goes, I would be surprised if we ever had the full 10 members in the room at one time.
Councillor Brajek.
So I'll agree with both of the points with increasing the number of board members on here. And I also agree with you to have an odd number is much more functional. I've been involved on a board that has an even number of board members, and it makes for very difficult situations at times. So I would suggest to revise the suggestion here to put it up to 9 members.
Or 11.
No, 9. 9, I think, would be, I'm suggesting that we can maybe discuss having 9 members.
Okay, so how about this? How about, I think, that it'll probably go through. You guys have talked about the numbers that you feel are appropriate on your board. We're ready to have a vote on this on Monday. So if you'd like to change it at all, before Monday's meeting, just let Jameson know and, Manager Brown know, and he will get the changes made, but other than that, we'll have this discussion again on Monday. Okay, thank you very much. Next up, Director Lefebvre.
Thank you, Worship. We will start with the memorandum to council. The topic is the policy review for 3 policies, MOS 2002, MOS 2006, and MOS 2007. The background is every 3 years, Infrastructure Planning Development reviews policies to ensure they remain relevant, effective, and aligned with current needs. This spring, the following policies were thoroughly reviewed, and the proposed revisions are outlined below. So the first one is MOS 2002, that's the cash in lieu of parking policy. We've reviewed it, went through it, and we feel there's no changes that need to be made, but at least the policy's been looked at and reviewed, so that it is still current. The MOS policy 2006 is the designated highway signage area. So after review, the following revisions have been made. We're going to remove the portion that says the use shall be authorized by a license agreement with an annual business license fee of $50 per sign. The changes, what will go in instead is the use shall be authorized by an annual license agreement with an annual license fee as set out in the fees and schedules bylaw. So as the fees and schedules bylaw changes, we don't have to continue to change other policies. MOS 2007 is the Service Road Boulevard licensing policy. And after review, the following revisions have been made to remove the 2.0 principles that states this, the use shall be authorized by a license agreement with an annual license fee of $10, and that's $10 per year. We will add in the same statement, however, make reference to the fees and charges bylaw as opposed to an actual number. Where the adjacent business does not enter into an agreement, the town may offer the opportunity to another resident business with a valid Town of Vegreville business license for an annual fee of $50. What we will add in now is again making reference to the fees and charges bylaw, not a set amount of $50. So the options are to review the revisions and move forward with the process, or review and deny and provide reasons why. It's a good time right now to go through our policies and have a look and update them and clean them up. So that's what we're doing now. If you're good with this, after we have some discussion, it will show up at the next regular council meeting for the readings.
Okay, thank you. So we'll start with the first one, the cash in lieu of parking program. Does anybody want to make any comments or changes to that? Go ahead, Councillor Lemko.
Yes, just for the public's information, what is the cash in lieu of parking?
Cash in lieu of parking would be for a development that may build, and if it's apartments, for example, depending on whether it's a single room at 1, 2-bedroom at 1.5, a 3-bedroom at the 2, that means 2 parking stalls per, and they're short of that, then what they can do is propose to the town that we do the cash in lieu policy, and there's a standard escalation formula the province provides that we can take and get an actual amount of money per parking stall if they're short. That money gets put into a reserve and will sit there for go towards the construction of a new parking lot somewhere in the community, or to enhance a current one, like our downtown parking lot by the post office, if it needed an overlay or some extra lights or whatever it may be. So that's the rationale behind a cash in lieu. So it doesn't stop development, and we provide an opportunity to park somewhere in the area.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. Any questions on that? Go ahead, Councillor Brojak.
To Director Lefebvre, you mentioned that there's an escalating scale from the province to follow. Is there any way to reference that in our policy, to reference that, that's what we would be using?
We can. It is the only thing we're allowed to use, but
Okay.
I could, yes. It's just a formula on the provincial website that gives you the escalation formula for parking in lieu. But I could make reference to it.
Okay,
Sure.
thank you.
Okay, so if that information is brought forward at Monday's meeting, everybody would be fine with moving forward on this cash in lieu of parking? Okay, The next up is the designated highway signage area.
Might be in there, isn't it? Oh, sorry, yes, thank you. Getting it from different, it's in 4.2 of the actual policy itself. The next three attachments under my list there are the three policies, and it's on 4.2, and Cash and Lou does reference that.
Okay.
I'll just go back and check that.
I'll scratch that off my list. It's done.
Actually, I picked the wrong one. Have you seen it, Councillor Broadjeff?
Yes, I did. 4.2.
Okay. What's the number?
What's the reference number?
How much is it?
How much is it for the cash and lieu policy? That's the formula we use. That's the formula that we would use, that's based on the province. They send us that, I'll call it a convoluted,
Is it $300?
well, it depends if you're building a $6 million apartment or if you're building a duplex.
Okay.
It factors on the adjusted price equals the base price times the current index value divided by the base index value. That's where she will come in.
Okay. So it's not, okay. Okay, so the next one is, like I said, the designated signage. Okay, so in our new bylaw, we are charging $100 a year now, is what it went to? Or
That's correct.
Went from $50 a year to $100 a year. And the changes between who can be there and the sign itself, what it looks like, is there anything else in this bylaw that's changing?
This is a policy, and there's nothing in this policy that references that. In my director highlights, I have the license agreement that we're making changes to. It's like having a policy and then a procedure. The agreement is acting as the procedure, and those are in there, and I'll talk about that when I get to director highlights.
Okay, thank you. So everybody's good with that? And now the boulevards. Does anybody have any problem with the boulevard? So if the business in front of the boulevard does not want to use it, the adjacent business will be able to rent it.
In a roundabout way, yes. If the business does not wish to take advantage of the boulevard advertising at the $20 a year, then the town gets to go and find and manages it. It doesn't go through him, it goes through the town, and we manage who comes next. So it'll be another business that does not have highway frontage that may be on the waiting list for the other signage area that we can, but we manage the lease and the agreements for it.
Okay? Is everybody okay with those? Excellent. Okay, let's move on to the fleet asset disposal policy.
Okay, I'll read out this memorandum to council. The topic is the draft fleet asset disposal policy. The background in 2025, former town council requested clarification on the process the town uses to dispose of fleet assets. Though there was no formal written policy for this, the town used the same process, which was to request council to approve the disposal of the units, advertise and hold a public tender whereby interested parties could view the assets and submit a sealed bid with their offer for the asset for sale. At the time, council requested a formal policy be developed to include sale options such as auctions. Policies from other municipalities were researched, and the draft fleet asset policy was developed by Coordinator Giles and input from Senior Management Municipal Service Manager Tony Timtishin. Communication strategy is an inform level 1. It's a community engagement strategy. And the options are council approves adding the draft policy to the agenda for the January 26th, 26 regular council meeting, or council makes recommendations to change the policy. So I have policy, and you have it as your next attachment. If you have it open. I'm not going to read the entire policy, but I am going to hit some points. So if we could get it, everybody's got it open? We're good to go. Number 1.0, the reason for the policy. Basically, the reason for the policy is it ensures that surplus fleet assets are properly written off in the town's financial management system and for audit purposes, and are properly accounted for in the town's TCA, or tangible capital asset system. Fleet asset can be available for disposal because the asset required to be disposed of under a particular policy or administrative directive. So that's if we have made a decision that this garbage truck is exchanged every 5 years, it just happens. That's what it is. And then we can use that one. The asset's no longer required, no longer in compliance with occupational health and safety standards, no longer in compliance with commercial vehicle inspection program standards, or simply beyond repair and not worth the repair. Okay, we'll move on. Related information definitions, the standards, a guiding principle, that's 4.0 standards. The guiding principle in dealing with fleet assets is to realize value for taxpayers when we're selling something. We're still about retaining a reasonable amount of money for the asset we're selling. Things that help us determine an asset, if it qualifies, as how old is the item, is it past its useful life, does its continued use pose any kind of health or safety hazard, can it be repaired, are parts available, is there any realistic resale value, can it be dismantled, used for parts, can it be repurposed, does its continued use, whether by the town or a potential buyer, expose the town to liabilities of any kind, and is it even a high enough value to warrant the investment of staff and time? If we've got something that's worth a couple $100, are we taking it to auction? And the answer is no, because it would just cost us. So we've had 3 communities that we were pulling information from for this policy to build. There's not a lot available out there. In fact, the City of Edmonton's we found only through their tangible capital asset information. In there was the disposal of. So I don't know if they're calling it something different. We had Whitecourt, Banff. We managed to find some, and it was good information to have. So if we move down to 4.4, surplus fleet assets may be disposed of through, these are the ways we were proposing to dispose of an asset, is through public sale, a formal auction, trading in the asset, a private sale, or donation, depending on the disposal value of the asset. Preference will be given to the least costly method of sale, including consideration of time, staff time. Only items with a disposal value of $10,000 or more will be sold at an auction, simply because the effort and cost and transportation to get products there and back, if they don't sell, it has to be worth a go. 4.1, one of the ways is public sale. You can read all of that, but basically that's the standard sealed bid envelope. You make a bid, you drop it off at, say, the Public Works office. We put a signature over where the envelope is sealed, write the time, date received, and those go into the vault in the manager's care until the date is there, and then the Public Works manager and myself, or the Municipal Services manager and myself, will open the tenders and the sealed bids, and we'll see where we're at. The other version to sell is by auction, and auction means a bona fide auctioneer will be selected through an annual formal RFP, request for proposal process. The disposal value plus the auctioneer's commission and marketing fees will be used to determine the reserve bid for all surplus fleet assets proposed to be disposed of by this method, and all costs, not just those. If it's gonna cost us $800 to track a piece of equipment and truck it down to Olson or Ritchie Brothers, then that has to be factored in this as well. Another option is the trade-in. The disposed fleet asset may be traded in on purchasing a new asset. When this method is selected, the Municipal Services Manager will receive a quote for a trade-in value from the vendor. The trade-in value offered by the vendor will be assessed by himself to ensure this value is fair and reasonable, and that at minimum equal to the disposal value. The trade-in value must be approved by the CEO before we enter into an agreement. Okay, so there's some means that we're going through all our channels. Private sale, when a surplus fleet asset is not sold in at least 2 public offerings, the asset may be sold to a member of the public, a town employee, or a member of council who offers at minimum the disposal value of the fleet asset. So when we go through our finance and we factor these things in, we will have a value, a disposal value. And that's what they're referring to, so that when they are depreciating equipment and bringing it down, at least that value matches probably what's remaining on the depreciation, so that audit-wise, it's a zero at the end. And then there's also the other towns were using a donation they had, and the donations may be made to governments, registered charities, not-for-profit organizations, but not to individuals, businesses, or corporations, giving priority to organizations. So we want to give priority to organizations with public or community service role that provide social value. Excuse me. So I think we're gonna go to 4.9. The following prohibitions apply to the disposal of surplus fleet assets. So 4.9. No council member, officer, or employee of the town will be permitted to purchase surplus fleet assets unless through a public sale, auction, or in the circumstances set out in 4.4 of this policies, which is the private sale. Officers and employees deemed to have the ability to influence decisions with respect to the disposal arrangements of the surplus fleet assets are not permitted to purchase surplus items. This restriction is not intended to prohibit any employee from purchasing surplus fleet assets pursuant to sections 4.4.2, which is by auction, or 4.4.4, which is again private sale. Under no circumstances may a surplus fleet asset be donated to a council member, town officer, or an employee or their relatives. That is the meat and potatoes of this policy. And from the conversation with previous council, I think we've hit on some of the areas of concern was when do we go to auction? When do we go to public sale? Can a town employee, basically is what the issue was prior, can a town employee participate in something, a sealed bid or an auction? And this lays it out. And this is mirroring the other three policies that we pulled from the other three communities. So this isn't something we've said, well, we want this to happen. This is what they all had in common, was that a town employee, a councillor, has the ability to submit a bid when you're doing sealed bid or auction. Basically, they're allowed to participate.
Okay. Any questions? I have a problem with the $10,000 amount. I mean, and the reserve bid. I mean, if we send it to Ritchie Brothers, you get what you get. Like having a local, two people bid on something that's $10,000 is not that good. When you have the amount of people that are, your item is exposed to at a big sale, I mean, and nobody wants to bring them home, that's for sure. We're getting rid of them because we want to get rid of them. The potential to attract a higher bid is better than 4 envelopes delivered downstairs.
Right. If I may, the public sale portion, where am I at? It says that if we don't hit our minimum bid reserve, and that was for the public sale, that's the sealed bid.
Yep.
If we don't hit it, then there can be a meeting between the CAO and myself to determine if we're gonna let it go below that amount in consultation with finance. That is listed. It says if all received bids are below the predetermined reserve bid, a request for council decision will be prepared and submitted to council, requesting to dispose of an asset below the reserve bid to the highest bidder. That works good with a public sale with sealed tender because you've got time. With an auction, you may not. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. What, any other thoughts? Everybody's good with it? Okay, so just so everybody knows what happened when we, a while ago, we got rid of a crawler loader, and we had to bring your bid in an envelope, give it downstairs, and the person who bought it was an employee of the town, and ran it to Ritchie Brothers, had it painted, and made off very well. And no, he did nothing wrong. Our process was right. But we didn't have the exposure that we did by running it in the local paper that this piece of equipment was up for sale. I mean, there was nothing that was underhanded about it. Dale's department did, Counselor or Director LaFave's did what they were supposed to do. The employee put in a bid and did nothing wrong, cleaned it, had it painted, took it to Ritchie Brothers, and did very well at it. And this is where we started looking at our policy of having the least amount of exposure to what we were trying to sell. So I do believe that we should lower the $10,000 thing here. And there'll be no reserve bid if it goes to a public auction, and get what we can get. Because nobody wants to bring something home. Any comments at all? Okay, well, that's,
So just get rid of the 10.
well, I don't see any support here for that. So you can bring it back to the meeting the way you guys have it right now, so.
Okay.
Okay, at this time, we are going to go into closed session and meet the person on, so just so those that are watching, we are gonna have a motion in the closed session, and we will come back. Hopefully it won't take that long, 10, 20 minutes at the most, and then we'll be back with our regular meeting. So I'll take a motion to go into closed session. Councilor Curtis makes the motion at 3:52. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you.